So nearby, Brad, which is your favourite Matrix movie? There's only one answer.
Is that an actual question?
Yeah, is it number one or one fight scene number two?
No, it's got to be Resurrections. I just think that it just speaks to me on a creative level.
Yeah, it's the Matrix one, we all know that. The Matrix is a series widely celebrated for featuring some of the most sick-ass martial arts ever seen up to that point in a Hollywood blockbuster. A fact that makes it kind of unusual that nobody in the principal cast had any sort of background in martial arts to start with, which may have something to do with the fact that the movie studio just wanted to steal everyone's martial arts skills. This is a real story, and it's very prescient given what, the writer strikes, which I think are over at the time we've recorded this, or they've reached some kind of deal.
Yeah, they've reached a deal. I don't know if it's been signed yet, but they've reached a deal.
So I mentioned this story in a video at the start of the writer strikes, and then someone just posted that story on Reddit without giving us any credit the next day. So cheers for that one person who got like 20,000 upvotes for not crediting us, which they clearly got from our video. But anyway. But let's go into more detail about the story. We're talking about them trying to Digi-Steal Jet Li's sick-ass moves. And I guess before that, we have to clarify no one in the Matrix movies really knew how to fight. Or at least, as members of the principal cast, a lot of extras and stuntmen and stuff did. But Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence fucking Fishburne, and Hugo Weaving did not know how to fight. And we've talked before about how Carrie-Anne Moss basically broke her leg twice because she kept trying to throw that super sick to the scorpion kick, I think as the choreographer called it. She broke her leg trying to do that. Keanu Reeves broke his spine to the point where he couldn't throw a kick throughout the entirety of the first Matrix movie, which is why he fights like this.
I wanted to collaborate with whatever our body styles were, what our style was. He'd let that develop.
Lawrence Fishburne broke a concrete wall with his head.
His head, the Morpheus cannon. Why did you have to mention that so early, Brad? You can't drop the Morpheus cannon this early into a...
You mentioned it early so we can drop it all the way through.
Okay, so if people don't know, if for some reason you don't know and you're a fan of this channel, my favourite... Oh, that's also the keyboards there. There's a moment in the first Matrix movie that always makes me laugh, and it's where just Morpheus realises, I need to save Neo, there's an agent, there's some police. You know what? It's time to be a hero. Oh, just headbutts to him. That's the thing, it's the scream that does it. So I guess just keep putting that clip in when you don't know where to put a natural endpoint to a conflict. 3/4 of the principal cast had an injury. Actually, no, wait. 4/5 of the principal cast were nursing some kind of injury during production, which necessitated them doing a 6-month intensive martial arts course with martial arts wizard Yuan Wu-Ping. A man who's so good he could teach a snake how to kick your fucking ass.
I'd be pretty annoyed if I was hired as a choreographer and nobody knew how to fight.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that okay, you can't really expect just an actor to know how to roundhouse kick a guy in the back of the head on command, but when you bring in a guy like Yuan Wu-Ping and you want him to choreograph your movie, I think when he got brought in and he saw the sorry state his actors were in, half of them had broken legs.
It's like the start of a sports film when they go down the line and they're all fucked up.
That's the thing, you've got Hugo Weaving was literally on crutches. When you've got a guy coming in and he's... So, who does Hugo Weaving play? A tireless, digital construct that knows all forms of martial arts. It's Hugo's
Who's Neo? The one, and he's just bent over holding his spine.
He's the one, the ultimate being. It's can he walk? Well, not really, no. We can't throw a kick.
I mean, what my reaction would be?
So what Yuan Ping did, he said, I'll choreograph the movie, but I want these actors for 6 months. And this is a rarity. It's something Keanu Reeves has kind of taken on. You hear a lot about in the John Wick movies, the amount of preparation that he does.
I did a video on that.
Yeah, but
one of the ones I hosted, John Wick. It was Keanu Reeves could literally be John Wick.
Yeah, because he did all the shooting training. But when The Matrix was being made, this was pretty much unheard of. 6 months is the amount of time it usually takes to shoot the movie. And they were going to like spend 6 months not shooting the movie, just training the actors to throw kicks. And we've talked before about how Wu Ping devised a unique fighting style for every main character, so that when they were fighting, their personality would be displayed via their combat style. Like, do you want to do the noise again?
Was Lawrence Fishburne's style about headbutts?
Well, his was very direct and to the point. Carrie-Anne Moss's was more graceful, and it made use of like the fact, like her lithe and agile figure, which is why I say the scorpion kick, which he invented. Like Wu Ping talks about, I invented a new kick. And the idea that he invented a new way to kick people in like 1999 is amazing. I don't know when The Matrix was made. I know it was set in 1999, but is it a 2000 movie?
I think you're right. I think it's 99.
But he invented a new kick. That's amazing to me. It's like he comes into the office, like, guys, I've done it. So what? I've invented a new kick. What? How do you invent a new kick? Surely we figured out every way to kick someone, and then he draws the picture of like the scorpion kick. I'm like, holy shit, that's a new kick. Yuan Ping, he was not happy with this, but he worked with the actors. Like, he got them to learn a fighting style. They got in remarkable shape considering they had 6 months of training, and they did all have their signature fighting style. But they wouldn't have had to do that if they could just cast an actual martial artist. But the problem is, when they tried to do that, actual martial artists read the small print of what their contract entailed and went, fuck this.
Wasn't there a character in the second one who was supposed to be a martial artist? Was that not a real martial artist?
Yeah, well, that guy, he was a decent martial artist. He was a stunt actor mostly. But if you go watch the second film, you'll notice there's a character called Seraph. And Seraph looks oddly like Jet Li. By which I mean, he looks exactly like they just went, we've got Jet Li at home.
Who are you? I am Seraph.
Down to the sunglasses, because like, there's a thing about Jet Li wears the same sunglasses in all of his movies. It's like one of those weird things if you go look at like Jet Li's posters for all of his martial arts movies, he wears the same pair of sunglasses. Like Seraph wears those sunglasses. That character was meant to be Jet Li. Because they were like, after the success of the first Matrix movie, it was like a send-up, a homage, if you will, to all those martial arts movies that inspired. I want to use inspired here, big air quotes. I'm going to be very like diplomatic here. And the Wachowskis were inspired by a lot of martial arts movies and anime. They stole all of it. They are fucking hacks. I will die on this hill. They are hacks of the highest order. They got lucky once and they're to ride that shit into like 4 fucking movies.
Time.
Yeah.
Bullet time.
Which they didn't invent. Ripped off from a fucking other movie, whatever.
Oh, it's making you angry, Carl.
It's like that.
It's almost like you should release it in a big screen.
Like, But no, the Wachowskis, like, they ripped off a bunch of anime. My favourite fact about The Matrix of all time is that they got real high on their own supply. They shoved their heads all the way up their own asses to sniff those farts. Because they were like, all these heady philosophical themes. And they reference a philosopher called Jean Baudrillard, which I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, and specifically his book called Simulation and Simulacra. They even have it, like, name dropped in the film itself. Like when Neo is giving out the program, and he puts like the payment in a book. That book is Simulation and Simulacra, because it's,
I think, is it Simulacra?
Simulacra, Simulacra.
Well, yeah.
Either way, like that book, they reference that because they're like, we're so smart. We're so smart. We're referencing this new wave French philosopher. Because look how fucking smart we are. They asked that philosopher, like, have you seen The Matrix? Like, yeah. They based it on your work, right? Like, did they? So what do you mean? It's like, I don't think the Wachowskis understand my work at all. That's not what I was saying in my book. And it's just, that to me sums up, like, the pretentious film student of, like, they think they're so fucking clever referencing this stuff. And when you ask the person who made it, it's like, they don't understand it at all. They just read it and didn't engage with the material whatsoever.
We all had that film teacher who took it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to say something like... The one I remember was 7. And we went through a scene in 7. It was the one where you were introduced to Morgan Freeman's character.
Yes.
And the teacher was like, oh, there's a chessboard in his flat. So this obviously represents that, he's a smart person. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty common trope. Like, smart people play chess.
Then they were like, the chessboard. is an unfinished game with this piece moved forward here. The king is over
The
here,
thing is,
which
though,
represents this bit.
I'm going to believe that because that movie was David Fincher and he's a fucking weirdo. He is such a perfectionist, pedantic prick. He would do that.
He probably said it in an interview.
No, he would do it.
No, but I mean, like, he's probably in an interview. They said to him, like, "Oh, is there anything that you?" Well, I moved the king 2 places outside of where it should be to represent the misplaced.
No, David Fincher is like that. He's one of those people where, like, he has the set dressers. Like, if they get a single thing wrong, they go back in and do it. So I can believe that for 7 with him. The only movie he's not done that is Alien 3, where David Fincher famously said, "I'd rather get stomach cancer than remake that movie." Because David Fincher is a weird... He makes good movies. Joe doesn't make good movies. The Wachowskis.
Like I said, Zack Snyder.
What we
just shit on Snyder.
Well, it's
like the Barbie movie did.
Did they? Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. It's like, when they say like, how do you try identify a toxic man? It's like he probably has very strong opinions on Zack Snyder movies.
There was I saw a comment or something, or post on Twitter of somebody saying, the Snyderverse movement has clearly gone far because it's now being mentioned in billion-dollar movies. And I was like...
It's nice that at least one Snyder movie is referenced in a billion-dollar movie. James...
That wasn't meant to be the Morpheus.
Like, James Wan, look at him. He was directing, like, Saw and Fast and Furious. He's like, yeah, I'll direct this stupid Aquaman movie. Made $1 billion and fucked off. What a fucking chad he is. But, bring it back to The Matrix.
Jet Li.
So Jet Li was initially brought in to be Seraph. He was like, I'll be in this movie. The Matrix, that was huge, right? You know, Jet Li was like a big star at the time. And it was like, he comes in and says, what do you want me to do? It's like, we want you to be Seraph. You're going to be a guy who, like, stands up to the one. Like, you're going to be on par with him. You're like, the personal bodyguard, one of the most important people in the Matrix. It's going to be sick. There's going to be a fight scene between, like, you, like, fucking Jet Li, and Keanu Reeves, like, this new action star. It's going to be rad. And he's like, that sounds great. So what do you need me for? What we need for about, 3 weeks, and then another couple of months. What? Well, yeah, come in for a couple of weeks, do your scenes, and then just stay in the studio for a couple of months. What? Why do you need me after that? Pick up shoots? Like, no, we want you to come in and stand in front of a green screen, and then just do all of your moves. It's like, what? It's like, your martial arts? It's like, yeah, the one I spent like 10 years mastering, and I've got like, awards for being like, one of the best people in the world at. It's like, yeah. Do all of that in front of a green screen, and then we're going to film it from every angle, and then we're going to take it, and then we can digitally insert that into our movie without paying you any money. And Jet Li's like, fuck you. And we talked about it in brief, but I would pay any amount of money to have been a fly on the wall when the Wachowskis were pitching this to Jet Li. Because according to him, they pitched it as a great thing of like, it's going to be amazing. Like, we're going to take all your moves and then we'll never pay you again. And he's like, why the fuck would I do this?
It's so prescient with AI art is the same thing. We're going to take the thing that you've spent decades of your life learning.
A lifetime mastering it.
And just co-opt it in our own way so that we don't have to pay you to make it anymore.
Well, so yeah, I said like the day that basically when we made that first video, we mentioned this offhand. That was when the story broke about one of the reasons the writer's strike happened and the actor's strike is because they wanted to have a new clause put into every big Hollywood production of, well, when you come in, we're going to scan you. And this is a real thing that you can go look up, and I don't think they're going to do it because like every actor was like, fuck this. Where they were going to scan every single person on the movie. Who, like extra, star, all of them. Like get their likeness, put into the thing, and then pay them, I think it was like $100, and then they'd own that forever.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
I could be in the game. Really? Please.
3D スキャンがそこにあるんで
We're gonna scan
行きましょう
me right now?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what are you going to do with that? And it's like, whatever we want. But here's $100. It's like, would you sign over your likeness in perpetuity to a Hollywood movie studio for $100, Brad?
No. And I'm a nobody.
No, but Brad, $100. Oh, but how about if I slide over this $100 bill? And they were going to make it like a sticking point of, if you don't sign this clause, you can't be in the movie. They were trying to strong arm. And you might be thinking, well, what value would that have? Well, imagine, obviously like Leonardo DiCaprio, Keanu Reeves, they're not going to sign that because they've got enough pull to be like, fuck you, I'm not doing it. But let's say, an extra, someone who's like, struggling, wants to be in a movie, they'll sign that. And then what about if that person goes on to be a big star? Then suddenly, it'd be like, well, you've got to pay us some money. It's like, why? We own your likeness.
The camera can't see me, but I'm wincing.
Yeah, and then that studio can be like, if they try and put them in another movie, it's like, well, we own the likeness rights to this actor. You've got to pay us a licensing fee. This is a thing they could do.
You should never be able to own someone's appearance. I get, like, a character based on them.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't include, like, the physical way they look. It should be to do with
but
the
Brad,
way that the character presents.
Brad, you forgot. I gave you $100. I gave you $100. What's your issue?
I hate it when you do things
Well,
like this.
like,
This comes up in so many videos where but Brad, and then you lay out the stupid thing again.
But what makes it even worse, is that these contracts had, like, no limits to what they could do. So it's not even that they could just put them into, like, say, a movie. They could have you, like, doing anything. You could be a terrorist. You could be, like, getting horribly murdered. That's the thing. They could have done that, and there's nothing you could have done. Because they own your likeness rights. And it's the same thing, like, and Jet Li saw this shit coming because they were like, well, what are you going to do with, like, when you've got a library of my martial arts? Like, well, what we can do then is create a digital character who can fight like you. It's like, so you mean you can just get a digital character who's not me? But for all intents and purposes, me, because the only way you'd be able to get someone who fights like me in your movie is to pay me, or someone who's not as good as me and it wouldn't be as good. But with this new system, you could just have me and not pay me. And like, yeah, that's great, right? What, do you want to sign? It's like, no, fuck you. And they went and just got, like I said, Jet Li at home. And this was like 20 years ago.
Do you reckon Jet Li at home signed the contract and that's why we've never seen him again?
Well, that's the thing. I think he did, yeah. And it's just one of those things, like, and the fact they try to pitch it as a positive to Jet Li, of like, we're going to make your entire career obsolete. He's like, why the fuck would I sign this?
The like all of this AI stuff, it a year or 2 years ago, it felt so far away. But like literally right now, I've got the Adobe suite. And we have generative fill in Photoshop. And I'm going to be honest, I've been using it. And you know what? It solves so many problems.
I hope to God, Brad, you have clicked that little disclaimer hidden away in their settings that says everything you make with it can be added to their AI library.
I mean, I wasn't offered an option to not click that.
Well, you better go check your settings because that's the thing. They added like...
So you tell me that your face might end up in it if I use something with you?
Yeah. Because they added like... they just added an update. You know, everyone just clicks through those updates without reading them. In the updates, like everything you create on using Adobe products gets added to a library unless you specifically opt out. So I'm probably part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing I can do about it because you click that agree.
I don't remember there being an agree.
Well, fuck you. He has no dollars. Jet Li saw it coming, and it's just I really wish that when that executive, that producer went over to Jet Li and pitched this, that he didn't just like kick their fucking ass. Like if he'd just done like a Tekken 10, like hey Hachi. So imagine like trying to do like his character in the movie. And it makes it even funnier as well. Just the irony of you're making a Matrix movie, which is about the idea of. And this is why I think the Wachowskis are fucking hacks, because they didn't see the irony of like wanting to download and steal a guy's livelihood to turn it into digital data that could be used to like ad infinitum for the purpose of like this giant machine, essentially a corporation. Like basically just feed, like the Matrix, the whole thing is like, people are batteries. Like people are just a fuel source for this like machine that has ravaged the earth. Even though that's not the plot or whatever. Like, so, like they even like messed that bit up, but that's the basic thing they're trying to say with their movie. We're just going to get this actor, steal everything of value from them to fuel the movie industry. And they didn't see the irony. It's no wonder they didn't understand Jean Baudrillard's work. So Brad, we've got like a couple of minutes left, and you want to talk about your series, yes? You have a series?
I mean, first thing I was going to do was talk about Matrix Resurrection.
Okay, so we want to mention Matrix Resurrection, because apparently I own Keanu Reeves' coat. So if you've watched the Matrix Resurrections, Keanu Reeves, who's just playing Keanu, he's not even playing Neo, he's playing Keanu Reeves. And I love the idea that Keanu Reeves grew his hair out and went, this is what I look like now. Fuck you, I'm John Wick in every movie. And he wears a jacket in all these scenes where it's Keanu Reeves, and it's this exact jacket. And it's not that this jacket looks like the one he wears. This is the literal jacket he's wearing.
The same make and model.
Same make, yeah. It's not.
I didn't take his jacket.
I don't own Keanu Reeves' actual jacket from the movie, but this is the jacket he wears. And you might be thinking, well, Karl, like he's a big Hollywood actor in a big Hollywood movie. That's probably a very expensive jacket. Yeah, this is the one nice thing that I own. And I watched The Matrix Resurrections wearing this on a date with my ex. And then Keanu Reeves comes on screen wearing this jacket. And I was like, oh no, I think I'm a fucking loser. And all those guys who went to like Matrix Reloaded wearing like the full leather trench coat and glasses. So if anyone's wondering, this is a goat leather jacket from All Saints, which is a very, very... It's not that high end. It's high end for someone who grew up on a fucking council estate. And it's the most expensive thing that I own. And I bought it after we got a Christmas bonus from Fiend once. Because I'd wanted it for 5 years, and I just said, fuck it, I want a nice coat, I'm not going to grow anymore, I want something nice. And then Keanu Reeves wore it in a movie, and it makes me cringe every time I put it on now.
I think it looks good, man.
It looks good, but every time I'm like...
I think when you're wearing that, you really feel like the one.
But I look at it and I go... So that's... Okay, let's rank the Matrix movies. So Matrix 1, and then I guess...
Matrix 2.
No, the Burly Brawl.
Just the Burly
The
Brawl.
Burly Brawl. The Matrix 2, which has the Burly Brawl in it. Matrix 3, Matrix Resurrections.
If you can put like 2 feet of space between the last two fingers there.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Because Matrix Resurrection is fucking shit. Do you want to know the reason why? I think if it came out in isolation of Keanu Reeves' like work, I wouldn't mind it as much. The fact that we've seen him in John Wick be a fucking legend, and then they bring him back for the Matrix, and he does nothing except hold his hand out.
My favourite, you can tell that, like, that's it, we talked about Keanu Reeves trained for 6 months for the first Matrix movie. All those John Wick's movies, he tries so hard. And in this one, his fighting style is...
Like, they talk about him in behind-the-scenes stuff for the John Wick like he's superhuman.
Yeah.
Like, they've said he's better than some of the people who are training him.
Because obviously he's
and yet they didn't get him doing martial arts properly.
They didn't even get him
in a film that made him famous for being a martial artist.
They didn't even have him doing gun fu.
No.
In a sequel to a movie that invented gun fu. After he's had 4 fucking straight movies of John Wick movies where he's got gun fu training. Imagine the bullshit they could have done with, like, imagine John Wick with the One's powers. Yeah. That should be the greatest fucking shootout scene in cinema history.
The bit where they reveal that they can have, they can take over anyone in the Matrix now, and it was like, oh my god, you can do the Burly Brawl Part 2, where you have everyone in the entire
city. He fights
city.
the entire city, yeah.
And they didn't do that. He goes through in a motorbike holding his arm out. It's like, fuck off.
Oddly enough, there's a Jet Li movie where they do that, called The One. And the gimmick is, there's multiple parallel universes. So there's a finite amount, unlike most interpretations. And every time one of your alternate reality selves dies, you get their strength and their experiences. And normally, that's not a big deal. Because, just one day, you get flashes of something you don't quite remember, a deja vu or something.
Yeah.
It's fine. But one Jet Li decides to travel through the universe, killing all the other Jet Lis. And you end up with 2 Jet Lis who now have the powers of 400 Jet Lis each.
This sounds amazing.
And then the ending of the film is the evil Jet Li gets sent to the prison dimension, which is just a giant pyramid where criminals from every dimension in existence get sent. And he stands at the top and says, fuck you. And the ending of the film is just Jet Li fighting infinite prisoners as Papa Roach plays. And he just zooms out and it's like, that's what we should have had.
But no, as Karl was saying, I'll plush.
Yeah, you're going to plush?
I'll plug something.
You're going to plush?
Oh, get your Wiggler.
Where's the Wiggler?
He's on your shelf.
Is it? My 10.25 inch wig.
I've got a YouTube series that was going on the side channel, and I want to move it to its own channel. The channel exists, and hopefully by the time this video goes out, the first video at least should be out.
Yes.
And the channel's called Break Brad, and the point behind it is it's just that we live in a stressful world, and sometimes it's nice to vent.
Yeah.
So all my videos are me ranting and venting about things, but the key part is that they're not important. Because I think that...
every person on YouTube who complains about something.
Too many people complain about things that are I want to do things that everyone can just agree with, that was stupid. For example, the whole thing about the Matrix Resurrections. The fact that Neo isn't fighting properly.
The thing is, though, that's a fine line to walk, because when you start being a guy with a beard on YouTube who's yelling about movies not being good, people are going to watch that and say, well, it's because the woman's in it, right?
But the first one that's going out on the channel, this will put into perspective what it's going to be like, is me complaining about a jigsaw. Because I did a jigsaw, and it turned out to be a waste of my time. Obviously...
Oh, I thought you meant the Saw movies. I was like, I'd watch that.
Physical jigsaw. I probably will do one about the Saw movies at some point. Probably about the thing we all know about John Kramer, that he's clearly a murderer, and yet no one, whose victims have a chance to escape. It's like, no, they don't. We've got some shorts on the channel about that. But yeah, check that out, Break Brad. And one of the things I do in a lot of it is add in like funny reaction clips or clips from other media. And you know what clip is almost certainly going to be in my rotation?
Oh!